This is a good idea, because Sekiro is a tough game, and wall sits, well, I'm bad at them. So the goal in today's video is to see how far I can get in Sekiro with wall squats as the punishment. And the rules are quite simple. For every time I die in-game, I will add 10 seconds to the time I hold the squat. First death is 10 seconds, second 20, third 30, and so on until I can no longer hold the position. I want to see how far I can make it in-game before my quads just give up. I started off, and the game walked me through the basic controls. Now I don't know much about Sekiro, and I don't plan on paying close attention, so though I'll do my best to explain, I feel like I'm going to butcher the story. But we are here to squat after all, not to follow along. This guy I walked past put it perfectly.
Completely lost his will to live.
My goal is to lose the will to squat. I made my way over to this little guy who gave me a sword, and things started to heat up. After handling the first few enemies, I found my way to this gate, called over my little dude and escaped into the wild. Game over. Just kidding. This guy, Mr. Ashina, swiftly started me off in my first 10 seconds. And though the first 10 weren't too difficult, this kind of set the tone for what was coming. I woke up in the house of a guy obsessed with dolls, who explained a couple of bits to me and sent me on my way. And for the most part, I think I managed to do quite well. I made my way down the side of the mountain. I was very cautious in how I approached people. I even defeated a mini-boss before finding a checkpoint and the place where suffering began, with this troll character right here. The first time I approached him, he smashed my face into the ground and doomed me to a 20-second wall squat. Which is fine. I managed the 20 seconds, but he killed me again, and again, and then again, and I was up to a 50-second hold, and wasn't taking much rest in between. I had overheard from these two that he wasn't a fan of fire, so wanting a break from getting my head kicked in and legs buckling, I ventured off to a separate area to see if there was anything I could find that would help. I wasn't sneaky here. My tactics defaulted to jumping in, stabbing and then running away like a coward. But I managed to clear several areas from low-level enemies before I found an attachment that gave me the firepower for that troll. I carried on, died to this Templar-looking guy, which took my squat time up to the full minute, before respawning back with my old friend. With my best mate now sadly dead, I headed through to the next area. There were a few guys patrolling, and I was cautious, looking around the outskirts before engaging here and there. But whilst looking around, I found the next checkpoint. And what happened here, I think terrified me more than any horror game I have ever played. There's this giant snake you have to sneak past, and not only was the atmosphere suspenseful as hell, I was now over a minute in the wall squat time. A death here would cost me muscle fatigue. I died. Held the squat for 1 minute, 10 seconds, and then sneaking past again, I ran like a fat kid running for the ice cream van, before getting to the next area. Things seemed a little calmer here, an open battlefield and not much going on except this guy. Who took my squat time up to 1 minute and 20 seconds. It was getting a little tough to hold. But luckily, when I fought him again, things went a lot smoother, and I managed to pull him off his horse to finish him off. Going through the gate, I got to a couple of areas where again, low-level enemies were stationed, and I wasn't having many issues by taking things carefully and using cover to my advantage. Stealth meant less time spent against the wall, and I felt I wasn't too far away from failing the squat. With stealth on my mind, the next area was anything but stealthy. This big raging bull ran through me, not once, or twice, but 3 times. And as a result, I held the squat for 1 minute and 30 seconds, 1 minute and 40, and then 1 minute and 50 seconds. And you can see in that last video, things are slipping south. Unwilling to give the bull the title of 2-minute champion, on my 4th attempt, I scraped victory. As much as I had wanted to be stealthy, the game was giving me no option. And in the next area, I gave up on my hope of ninjahood, favouring the approach of a desperate man fleeing over the rooftops, seeking the safety of the next checkpoint. It was time to calm down. These new enemies looked slightly tougher, so I took my time dispatching them. I felt too like I was getting better at fighting, and though my skill level in the game was improving, I was pretty sure that I was reaching my wall squat limit. Little did I know what was coming my way. This guy, and I'm calling him the Blue Man. His attacks were quick. He took the title not just of the 2-minute champion, but 6 deaths at his hands later, I was up against the wall for a total of 3 minutes. The issue I was having here, funnily enough, was that the checkpoint was right in front of this dude. I could feel my legs going, and there was no gap between my death at his hands and having to do a wall squat again. At the 3-minute mark, I was all but finished. So I finished him. Now at this point, my legs were killing me. I had assumed, like had been happening so far, that I could perhaps make a little more progress with some smaller enemies before the next big fight. But literally, just outside Blue Man's window and up on the roof was another boss. But this wasn't any boss. This was Mr. Ashina. Yeah, the same guy that killed me at the start. But I was bigger now. I was stronger. Not in terms of wall squats, I was hanging on by dear life, but in the game, my skill level had improved. I was a warrior. I was a samurai. I was killed by him pretty quickly. As I began the 3-minute wall squat, I looked back at how far I'd come, and all the friends I'd made along the way. I think I did alright, you know, fleeing through most of the game and being nowhere near close to the end, but on falling to the floor 30 seconds into the wall squat, I was happy that I made a good go of it, and my quads would thank me later. If you liked the video, help me out by subscribing, and I'll catch you in the next one.